Okay,
Ready to go.
good evening. I'm going to call tonight's meeting to order. This is a reorganization meeting, so I will begin the meeting, and then after you elect a new chair, I will turn the meeting over to the chair. I would like to welcome our newly elected member, John McDonald. Welcome to the committee.
Thank you.
And, all right, so first order of business is the election of a chair. So I have ballots prepared, if I can get the right folder.
I'd like to make a motion to move the chair first.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Yeah,
So
so we don't need a ballot.
So we don't need a ballot, okay? So I have a motion made to nominate Jim Boutin as chair. I have a second.
Seconded.
All right. Do I have any other nominations for chair?
Move you close nominations.
Motion made to close nominations and seconded. All right, then I will call for a vote for the election of the chair of the CDC Board for the 2014-15 school year. All in favor of Mr. Boutin as the chair, raise your hand, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Not voting?
Abstain.
He's abstaining, so that would be 10 yes, 1 abstain. Since I have no objection, I have no objections, no votes, then I will declare that Mr. Boutin has been elected chair of the board. Congratulations, and I will turn over the rest of the meeting to you.
So you don't do the other elections?
Well, you're the chair now,
Okay,
so
I guess.
you're the duly elected chair.
All right, I wanna make
Knock
sure-
yourself up.
I just want to make sure I'm doing it right. Like,
Oh, I did forget one thing in my welcome introductions. I just wanted to wish everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day, so before I turn it over to you.
I want to make a statement before we begin. I'm honored to serve as chair. This will be my 4th year, and I really do think some of you should think about being a chair, because it is a different experience. And next year, I think that someone else should step up and give it a try.
Nobody else has time.
Yeah, there's time. There's time, and it's not that difficult, but it is a learning experience, and I think, and I know there's other chairs here too, you know, so it's yeah, it's something everybody should give it a try. We'll go on with the elections. Do we have a nomination for vice chair?
Nominate Rick Harrington for vice chair.
Okay, we have Francis nominating, and Kevin has seconded that nomination. Are there any other nominations?
Move nominations be closed.
Okay, we have a move for that, and that's seconded as well. Nominations are closed. All those in favor then of Ricky Harrington being the vice chair, please signify by raising your hand. Okay, that is 10, and Ricky, you are abstaining. Okay.
Thank you.
Always vote for yourself. Lost by 1.
The next nomination we have is for the position of the clerk, the secretary.
I nominate Kevin Goodhue.
Second.
Okay, we have a nomination from Gloria and a seconded by Ricky. And do we have any other nominations?
I'll nominate Jackie Kelly.
Okay, we have a nomination for Jackie Kelly as the clerk.
Second.
And we have a seconded by Ed Letourneau. All right, any others? Then I guess we're going to conduct the ballot.
Now you need a vote.
Now we need the ballots.
Can I make use of paper for summary?
You don't have to do that. No. You pass.
You pass, you decline.
Yes.
That's certainly your
That ends that.
choice. That's certainly your
What
choice.
am I referring to you? Give it up.
This sheet is
She's
fine.
I didn't know you had a choice.
Okay, then can we have a nomination to close the,
Move close
motion
nominations.
to close the nominations, excuse me.
Anybody?
Okay,
Second it.
we got one, and we have Heidi seconding. All those in favor then of
Kevin.
having Kevin as our clerk, secretary, please signify by raising your hand. that looks like 10, and one abstaining as well. Okay. Did you get it, Barb? Ed, did you abstain, or did you
No.
vote? You voted in favor? Yep, okay.
I can if you want me
No, no, no. I think she just thought maybe you didn't have your hand up. Next item on the agenda then is to set the meeting dates, the times and locations. And if you recall, those were in our packet. Want to bring that information forward.
It's in the board reorganization packet. Yes.
It's under board reorganization materials. And let's see what page it's on here. It looks like it's on top third or fourth page. It's quite a ways down. 1, 2, 3, fourth page. I think we have to choose another date in January, and it looks like we're gonna choose another one in February because of the winter break. I'd like to make sure that we try to avoid, like we did this past February, of having to run into the Mount Anthony meetings and other meetings, so I'm gonna suggest that we do a different day than Monday. And isn't it Mount Anthony that meets on Mondays as
No,
well?
Mount Anthony has changed to Wednesdays and SVSU.
It's SVSU?
Well, that was a special meeting. It's for the holidays. When the holidays came in, it shifted everything.
Okay.
It went to Monday, but that's the thing that needs to be worked out.
That was a one-time occurrence for this year.
Okay,
Not to
Yeah.
say that it couldn't occur again.
We left Mondays and went to Wednesdays.
okay, so it's pretty unlikely that it would happen again, so we can go to a different Monday. All right, let me look at my calendar. I'd like to propose then that we do that.
It would be, the following week would be the 23rd of February.
The following week would be the 23rd of February, and how about for January?
Let's see, January. What was the?
It's the 18th is to the 19th.
So we could do it, do we do it the week before?
Yeah, the week before, the week
Because if you
after.
did it the week after, you might, will you be two, either one, the 12th or the 26th?
12th or the 26th. Let's go with the week before. Does anybody have any problem with that? January, we're looking at January now, January 12th. Rather than January 19th, which is a holiday. All right? And then we're looking at,
I do have another meeting that day. Would it be okay if we went with the 26th?
it would be okay, yeah? And then we're gonna,
It's a long stretch.
Jim,
yeah,
I just want to check, last year, or this January, I think the timing of the meeting worked out well for you because
Right, yeah.
you could vote on the tuition prior to when I had to announce the tuition, which was January 15th. And if we push it later, it may push everything into the December meeting.
good point.
But I was just trying to go back in my calendar and confirm that. I believe we met on the week before, or on the 12th of January this year.
Uh-huh.
So I was just trying to see if that's what the case was, because if we meet before, then it would just give everybody a little bit more time to finalize the budget and the tuition.
And the tuition.
Or cause you to have a second meeting, maybe?
We did have some problems. We came down to the wire on the tuition this year, right?
Right, but so if we have this after the tuition date is due,
Uh-huh.
then we would either have to have a special meeting to decide on the tuition in early January, or everything would have to be finalized in December.
I hear you.
Jim?
Yep.
Can I put a little
Sure.
bit of the fly in the ointment?
Yep.
Is there any real reason why we
nail these dates down right now. I mean, quite frankly, I haven't got a clue what I'm gonna be doing next November. It just seems like every year we get to December and we're starting to say to ourselves, okay, what meetings can we have for the finance? We get this budget in order, and then we gotta come in, we gotta vote on the budget. And it just seems to me like we're gonna change the dates anyways. Why get all worked up about it? This year, we even thought we might avoid even having a meeting in February, so
I hear you.
what's the advantage or disadvantage
Well,
of waiting?
I'll go along with that for January and February if you'd rather wait, but I do want to establish the other dates, you know,
I
as
don't have a
being.
problem with it, I'm just,
Yeah.
you know, quite frankly, I'm more than happy to accept the dates that are there, and if they change, they change.
Mhm.
Yeah. Other thing, too, Jim, is when like MAU or SCQS, we're trying to do budgets, sometimes we're going right to the end of February,
Right.
like we did this year.
Right.
So, and while we're waiting for assessments, and we still don't know half the time until after the March vote, so that's just something to throw out there. that-
I think you bring up a good point, as did Stephanie. We need to be conscientious of the situation at the time and how things are gonna unfold. So let's hold off. I think that would be a good idea to hold off on January. and
TBAs
February.
on those two.
TBAs on those two, and how about all the others, and we're good to go with
You
those?
need a motion, or we just have a?
I don't think we need a motion on that. I think we're good on that one. Yeah. Good. Oh, let's see, what's the next thing?
You know, I did introduce our guest members. The new teacher. Or is that
Well, you can
further
do
on?
that
On
under
the
the
mind, yeah.
under your reporting ones, okay, yeah. How about time and location? Are we gonna stick with what we're doing right now? 6:30 and meeting here?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's painful, but
Gloria,
I like 6 o'clock.
she likes
And
6
we used to
o'clock.
have 6 o'clock, and then we went to 6:30, so I
Okay.
would like to propose 6 o'clock.
and I like to propose 7 o'clock. We used to have that.
you're 5:30. Do 5:30?
Excuse.
And
let me
that's
just see
why
if I
we
can
got
get
to
some rec-
6:30, because I can't, I mean,
That's what I want to hear, the history.
It is.
Okay.
We used to meet at 7 o'clock a long time ago, and then we wanted to change it back and forth, so everybody keep moving these dates up along this line. So I settled in for the 6:30, which is tough to still try to get here. And then to keep from using so many days, I like to try to meet a board meeting or have a subcommittee meeting if some of us do on the date that we're gonna meet here, like I'm at tonight. So I was able to do 2 things in one day here, and I'm willing to share this. I won't meet every month on this date, but I'll rotate it with somebody else, and so we have 2 board members or subcommittee meetings that can meet prior to this meeting, so you won't have to be meeting other times.
I support 6:32 for the same reasons, that if you wanted to have a subcommittee meeting on the same day, that you having a meeting at 6 o'clock limits the time you can have for that. Plus, if people in the community wanted to come, 6 o'clock puts a crimp in their ability to do so if they're not getting off work until 5 or 5:30. Especially a county board such as this is, where somebody may have to travel from.
Okay.
I
Anyone else?
do, that's why I want to.
Yeah, I was gonna mention
I
that.
live far away.
For the
but-
people that do live outside the town, the immediate area here, there's some travel involved, and when meetings go into the late hours, it's difficult. That's right, I hear that too. I'm gonna recommend that we just stay with 6:30. It seems to be working. It's not broke yet, and I would hopes that we could just move on that one. Does anybody want to make a motion to
I'll
make
make
it
the
official?
motion to keep it at 6:30. Ricky seconded it.
On Mondays.
Yep.
On Mondays,
Second.
those dates and them. Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor then, please signify by raising your hand for their meetings, times, and dates will be 6:30. We're good to go, Clark. We're unanimous on this. Okay. Good. This one, we need to set the paper of record. I do have to have a motion on this.
So moved.
So the paper of record
Second.
being the Bennington banner?
That's correct.
Okay. We have Leon moved, and Francis has seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Okay, and that's unanimous, Barb. Off-warrant signers, those are usually the officers of the board. I have a motion for that, that's definitely required too. So that the officers of the board become the off-record signers. Does everybody know what I mean by that?
No.
Okay, that's in the case of the signing of the warrants. If there's a warrant that needs to be signed because of a scheduling date or a payment that needs to be made to a vendor, then they call and either I come in and sign that, or Kevin or Ricky can do that. And rather than having the whole board have to sign, okay?
So move.
So
Second.
moved by Leon, seconded by Francis. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand then on that. And that too is unanimous. All right. Board training. I just want to ask a question here before we get into this. Do you people get emails from the Vermont School Board Association fairly regularly, right? So everybody gets those. And you see then the schedule that comes out. And John, you'll be getting those because they'll have your name and an email on that. You've seen where there's some scheduled training. There's one at the CDC here on the 31st. Is it the 30th? Yeah, 31st, which is the essential works of the school boards. And very good training that we've participated in the past. And I encourage you to come again because the topics aren't always the same. We cover other issues. So if you can make it to 31st, please let us know and we'll get you on the list for that.
All the boards plan on meeting here on the 31st, MAU, SVSU, Shasberry.
Excellent.
So we'll all be here anyway.
Excellent, good. And you know, this is an important year with what the legislature is proposing as far as redistricting the whole state of Vermont, et cetera. So I'm sure we'll want to hear what the Vermont School Board Association has to say about that as well. And they're staying on top of all of that, as you've seen in your emails from them. So good, I hope that we have a good attendance at that. The School Board Code of Ethics. I have copies of that here, and I'm going to pass these around to everybody. And please look this over. Sign it if you agree with it. And if you don't, and as we have had in the past, you don't have to, but they're on their way. I think I gave them too many over here. They pretty much lay out what our duties and responsibilities are here. So.
I think the legislature ought to sign this.
Do you have any extras over there, John?
Yeah, there are quite a few there.
St. Patrick's
Yeah.
Day.
You know what? That's right. We usually have a master that, that's right.
Get a master one and put signature on file. Whoops.
Yeah, you could do that, I guess. Why don't they keep that as their copy to read, and then we'll have a master at the next meeting for them to sign.
Yeah, keep these. That's right. Read them over, just to remind yourself once in a while.
More than anybody else here, you need to read that.
I already read it. It's on your iPad.
The other thing.
We'll do a master for the next meeting, they can sign it, and we'll put it on file.
Thank you, thank you. I don't know if you've noticed, but they frame it, they put it out there in the hallway, so that you're officially on record to agreeing to these code of ethics. And
Well, I'll tell you, Jim, there was a time when I wouldn't sign these
I
things.
know.
And because of the leadership here, I have no problem. I've already signed it. If you want to frame it, that's fine.
Thank you, thank you, Francis. Do we have any public comments? Anything from the public today? No, okay. Introduction of new staff. I'm gonna let Jim take this one over.
As you know, last month you voted to hire a sustainable foods teacher here for the program that we're trying to get off the ground here, the grant funded program in sustainable foods. And as you know, my practice is to bring that new staff member so that you can put a name or a face to the name. So I introduce to you Amanda Taff. Amanda, stand up, and Amanda, you know the drill. I would like you to give a brief background biography of you, that what got you here today and why you want to work here at the Career Development Center.
My name is Amanda Taft. I grew up here in southern Vermont. I attended Vermont Technical College. After that, I went out west for about 5 years and worked in the agricultural industry, and then recently came back here and worked on my family's farm for the last 3. I'm really excited about my opportunities here at CDC. I believe in the sustainable foods, and I think it's a huge movement right now in Vermont, and I'm really excited to be a part of it, especially bringing it here to southern Vermont. And I think it's got a great future here at CDC.
Very good. Thank you, Amanda.
Anybody have any questions of Amanda? Welcome. Welcome, exactly, yeah.
Thank you.
And good luck with your program. We're looking forward to seeing it being developed. Committee reports. Let's start with policy, because I know that we just met. Leon?
Okay, policy committee met today, and we reviewed the minutes and approved the minutes from our previous meeting, and we went over a final review of our community project policy, and I got a copy of that out here so we can pass it over. I just want to pass this out so that you can have an opportunity to read it, so that next meeting that we meet, we'll have we can warn it. If we don't have any real serious items, at least we still can warn it and then make corrections and go back to the policy committee. So this is what we all talked about, and Bruce and the committee and all of us met, and we went through it. So you got side 1 and side 2 of that. So I just want you to have this for an information piece now to look at, and then the next meeting, if no comments, we'll have this ready for warning. That's basically it for that committee.
Okay. Any discussion, any questions on this? Basically outlines the community services, the steps that we're looking to establish so that when teachers and students go out into the community to do community service,
Yeah.
they follow a policy that will be standard throughout the practice. Again, we'll have it on warrant to be adopted at the next meeting. And it'll be up for discussion at the next meeting as well. So anybody that would like to put in any input into it, they can at that time. Okay? Notice it is a draft. Any other committee reports? I don't believe any others have met.
The only thing I just bring up, but I think everybody knows by now, is we have started collecting our information and pulling together our thoughts on negotiation with the educators. That contract runs out, I believe, June 30th. And so as of July 1st of this year, we'd like to have a new contract in place. We haven't met with the educators yet, but if you have any thoughts, more than happy to listen to them. Mr. Cole Keane is going to facilitate a lot of the negotiations. Fran Kinney sits on the board, I guess, representing Mount Anthony. That's Fran?
Jasper.
So you got a lot of people here that you can talk to about negotiations.
Our first meeting is with the teachers is April 3rd. And I think that's just an order of ground rules, but I'm not positive. Depends.
Okay, now when we, once you start meeting with the teachers and you have more definitive information to share with us,
Correct.
we will go into executive session. That isn't an allowable topic for executive session. So we will recess into that for updates, and at that time, you can also share some of your concerns there. Okay. Also on the committees, it is the chair's responsibility to create the committees and to assign people to them. In the board reorganizational packet that was sent to us by Sandy, you'll see the list of the committees that are there. And I'm going to ask you to let me know, and you can do that between now and the next meeting. Prior to the next meeting, you can either email me or you can give me a note and let me know which committee you'd like to serve on. I need a balance of people on committees. So if you don't get your first choice, I'm sorry, but I have to kind of spread these out. And I also want to recommend to you that, or I'd like to actually tell you what my thoughts are on this. The last committee is the Superintendent Evaluation Committee, and that's normally consists of the officers of the board. I'd like to rename that committee as the Executive Committee, and I'd like to probably assign some other duties to that committee other than just superintendent evaluation. We have sometimes grievances that need to be heard. We have other issues that I think maybe disciplinary issues or anything along those nature. Rather than try to get the whole board together, it's a whole lot easier for us to get the 3 members of the executive committee. They're not a decision-making, they make a recommendation, again, as any other committee does to the board. But they will sit in and not only do the evaluations, but maybe some other task as well. Any questions or concerns on that? So I'm going to rename that the executive committee, okay? But please, let me know which other committees you'd like to serve on. Our Education and Facilities Committee, I should start with policy. That's our number one priority as a board. And then our Education Facilities Committee, the Finance Committee, and Strategic Planning. They'll all stay the same. With a purpose, that is. So please let me know.
Jim,
Yes.
how many are you looking for each committee? Typically 3 minimum?
I'd like to have 3, yeah. It's difficult. There's only 2 of us serving right now on the policy committee, and that's kind of tough.
It is?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'd like to spread it out for 3. And some of you, if you're welcome to sit on more than one committee, there's no doubt about that.
Well, again, it goes back to your comment first, beginning of the meeting about perhaps somebody else ought to try the chairmanship after this next year. And one of the drawbacks to being the chairman is the time. It's very time intensive.
Yeah.
I'd like to publicly give you a lot of credit. There isn't a committee that I've sat on that I haven't seen you come to that committee. You didn't sit there as a committee member, but you oversaw what was going on and made contributions as needed. And quite frankly, I rely a lot on you when you do come to these meetings. I thank you for your time, but it is very, very
It is time consuming. Yeah, it is.
If you are a member of the policy committee, that's just one more duty that it'd be nice if you could give to somebody else.
It is nice also, as Leanne stated, and Ed, that we can meet prior to a board meeting, you know, to be able to schedule those in, because that does save time, consolidates our efforts as well. Thank you, Ricky. I appreciate that. Okay. We have the consent agenda next on the agenda here. Can I have a motion for accepting the RGB full board meetings for February 24th, 2014?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Francis and seconded by Ricky. Any discussion on those minutes of the meeting? All those in favor then of accepting those minutes as presented, please signify by raising your hand. And those are unanimous. The minutes of the annual meeting, the March 3rd annual meeting. Everybody should have seen a copy of those as well.
Second.
Okay. Moved by Ricky and seconded by Leon. Any discussion? All those in favor then of accepting those minutes, please signify by raising your hand.
I have to abstain, I wasn't.
You weren't there. Okay, thank you, Gloria.
I wasn't there either. Doesn't matter.
Heidi, are you saying you're?
No.
No, okay, you're good to go with it, all right. Payroll warrants, number 19, 1034, 20, and 1035. Can I have a motion to accept those?
So moved.
Second.
Ricky and seconded by Francis. Any discussion? All right, all those then in favor of accepting the payroll warrants, please signify by raising your hand. And that is unanimous. The vendor warrants, 1036.
So moved.
Ricky?
Second.
And Francis. Questions? I know we have questions on these, Ed.
Yeah, on page 21, there's a $38,000 item for unused Perkins fund.
That was
We had to
the,
give back money?
that was the last year, the disallowed spending on Perkins, so we had to give that back. We had received approval initially from the state, there's a purchase of, and I don't, so we did have to send it back. I know
You stopped spending, I think.
we
that's
stopped
the-
spending after, right,
that-
thank you.
That purchase was actually.
We stopped spending after there was the purchase of the iPad cart, we were first told was approved. Then they put it on hold that they didn't think it was a approvable expense, so we stopped spending on the grant, or we felt we would have had to return even more money. So we're not happy about it, and we think the state was very unclear on what they approved on Perkins grant. So, and they did not give us our answer until after the date to amend the grant. So we lost out the opportunity to amend the grant and spend it in a different manner.
Elsewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Second question, there's a recruitment, there's a fee here on page 15 for the sophomore summit. What is that?
That'll be at Bennington College this year. We have it every year. There will be all different career opportunity presenters there, and that's our share of the cost.
I haven't seen it before, that's why I
Okay.
asked. And on page 9, there's a vehicle inspection, there's a fee for vehicle inspection forms. I don't know that I've ever noticed that
Yeah,
before. Does that
because we
come
didn't
every-
have them before. They're gonna go into our buses and vans, so when drivers take them out, they have to do a
Okay.
walk around, do an inspection. So we had those forms printed.
I just didn't know what it was.
Sounds
One
like
more
we used to
question,
have
then I'll let
military.
them go. We have a contract service with the Bennington Police Department. And I presume this is a monthly fee of, is it the same fee every month, or?
No. It depends on when the detail comes in. The detail is, if nobody signs up that day, we don't get a detail officer in, so the fee, our monthly fee would be reduced, but.
Okay. Do we have a standard fee per hour that we have agreed
It's
to?
their rate, correct, that they, that,
I can confirm it for you.
Okay.
yeah. Whatever the Bennington Police detail rate is, that's what we were charged.
Thank you.
Any others? I have one. There's a number of poll workers for the election, the workers at the polls. I'm just wondering, how is the rate determined and why are certain people identified in our warrants?
The town, our town clerks are in charge of staffing the poll and the poll workers, and they split them according to location, and they send the information, and we pay based on their rate. I'm not sure, like, I have a bill that actually didn't make it in yet, that is for very incremental pieces of some poll workers because of the way that they're split.
So is it just the town of Bennington that does this, or
Oh, there's other towns.
other towns that send us a a bill for their poll workers.
That's why we pay portions of the ballot coding for different towns, or for some towns. I think Shasbury we had our own ballot printed with it, but with Bennington, I think the town is on one side and the CDC is on the other, so
Right.
it's easy.
Yeah, I can understand that. I just didn't understand how some names were associated with the CDC.
The town of Bennington assigns, I think they, I can hold back for you, but they divvy up.
So you're confident they divvy up fairly to all the school districts then, an equitable amount, it sounds like. And
It
the,
seems reasonable.
and the town clerk's the one that are responsible for doing that? Okay. That's the only question I had. I didn't quite understand how did that person get to do the CDC, you know? Okay, makes sense. Anything else on the vendor warrants? Okay, then all in favor of accepting those, please signify by raising your hand. Is that good? Jackie, you're, yeah, okay, we're unanimous. Good. Any questions on the cash flow statements, the revenues and expenses that were presented? No, they looked all in order to me as well. Action items. There is a letter of resignation. Came as a surprise to us. In your packet. And if you want a few seconds, it is under the resignation PDF file. Haven't had a chance to look at that. I would like to give you a few seconds to do so.
It was in there, so we want to move to accept it. So
Yes, we need to,
Move to accept the resignation.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved by Leon and it's been seconded by Ricky. Discussion. I'm looking for some discussion, folks, because I'm a little upset about it.
Can I?
Yeah.
It's just because of my lack of knowledge. Do we ever give exit interviews to our?
We do, we try to.
Yeah.
If,
To try to
if they're
learn.
here, to give an
I didn't get, I have
explanation.
no idea.
Okay.
Who's leaving?
I don't have a question per se on the resignation, because as the letter states, she has to leave in order to take the other job, which is a permanent job, and this one is temporary. So I comprehend that. What I'm wondering is, how are we going to replace that person for the rest of the school year?
And that is a task, a monumental task, because we had a really hard time finding a qualified person for the engineering position to begin with. Francis?
Well, the only thing, if you remember in the last negotiations, is we talked about a date when they have to tell you that, you know, they're gonna leave or whatever. And I'm sure that there's a problem here with this. Plus the health insurance, if that comes into play also. So I think there's something there that we have to look at, or at least the chair and the superintendent, see what our, I don't know, what's,
Our options are limited, we can't really chain somebody to their desk and have them stay
oh, no, I
where they
understand
wanna
that.
go. But,
I'm sure I didn't put it exactly the way
Yeah.
it should have been, but
I didn't take it for you to mean it that way either, but it is a concern, it puts us in a difficult position. And we are advertising, pursuing it. We're looking at our sub list to see who might have some credentials that they could fill in for the rest of the year, and we're beginning in earnest to advertise for full-time replacement for that. But it is going to be difficult. And we're also looking at shifting internal personnel within the building to cover that, at least for the rest of this school year while we advertise it. Because as Jim said, it was,
I'll plan it.
the previous teacher had resigned, let us know back in March of last year that they weren't returning. We advertised from March on and didn't actually hire somebody until August. We had gone through, made 2 job offers to 2 people who then didn't accept it.
I remember that.
The thing that I'm concerned about in this letter of resignation is she makes a statement that she went into negotiations to try to get the company, to let her finish out her school year.
Right.
She's only got 2 more months, and I'm sure she's feeling for her students in this case. I have a hard time as a career development center, a place that we're trying to train students to some type of an ethic, a standard. And a company does something like this to us, in my opinion. I don't think it's ethical. And how can we expect to be partners and work with a company that's going to pull someone from out from underneath us like this and leave us hanging? I don't think it's right. It's not good practice for this company to be doing this. And in my opinion, I think they need to be notified. I would like to see our superintendent write a letter to their HR or to their CEO and say, you know, we're upset about this. You know, we're expected to work with business and industry, and yet, you know, and we're expected to teach our students, you know, an ethic or a standard.
Right.
I'll let the superintendent write the letter, but I think everybody on the board should sign it.
I'll go with that.
All right.
I'll go with that as well.
Yep. That's fine.
Okay.
Any other suggestions?
Do you want to make that a motion that, so that it is a board action to write the letter, or?
Let's do that. Can I have a motion for that?
So made.
Second. Can I have a second? Second.
It's very uncomfortable to vote on something like that right now, maybe because I just haven't thought about it enough, or if it's something that you have to discuss in executive session to say, what, do you
Flesh it
know
out.
this company? And I think there are so many more questions before I would sign something.
Yeah, and I don't think the company needs to be named, because there's no need to do that publicly. If it was any company, I think that, again, I don't think it would hurt to do it, but I'd like to see a response from them.
Well, it doesn't say if it's local or if it's elsewhere.
Does it make a difference?
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
It does?
Because this is it's a community, a school, this is a community, and this is a school in the community. And we reach out to community businesses. So, yeah, I think it does make a difference.
Okay.
I mean, maybe she was looking to relocate, and this isn't an area that is, you know, more to her liking than the Northeast. I mean, not everybody can survive here.
I don't believe that's the case, but.
I mean, but these are things that we don't know.
Yeah, and they should be discussed in executive session, if we're going to do that. If we're going to get into that type of detail.
But I don't know that we have much of a, I mean, you're saying write a letter, and I'm saying this person did what I thought, tried to do everything they could to hold off here, but no matter what, the only recourse, if they were trying to take another teacher's job in the state of Vermont, that we have some recourse that they can't do that along that line. But this person did, I thought, what they thought they should do here and tried to stay on to commit to their obligation. So I think we may be wasting a lot of the boards and everybody's time trying to write a company a letter, which is not going to mean anything if you send me a letter when I have a business that I got to operate and I'm not in partnership with this particular area here. So, yes.
The position is not as temporary as the letter looks to be. It was our intent to have this person employ here next year. They did receive a three-year license from the Vermont Department of Education based on my application for this person. So it's not as temporary as it sounds. It's potential have been 3 years of employment here, or longer if they pursued the coursework that they needed to do to keep the position.
Question, how many sessions a day was she teaching?
A full schedule. A full
Just
teacher's.
one long block, or?
Engineering has a kind of a mixed schedule. It's too long, 2 blocks. Yeah.
Popular program. It has good numbers. Students we're doing well.
I wouldn't hesitate to sign a letter because I don't fear retaliation, and that is something that people do fear. But that said, I think we're just crying over spilled milk. The most important thing here is how do we move forward from here? Because quite frankly, what's happened has happened, and we're not gonna change it by all the discussions and letters in the world. What's important is how do we correct this situation and get the proper educator in front of the students? They signed up for it, they deserve the class.
I understand the ethical lesson that wants to be addressed. Is it something, if the board is gonna vote for all of us to vote, I personally would need to have much more of a lengthy conversation. But then the other issue is how we're going to proceed with this for the students.
There's two issues, there's no doubt about it. The one, the nomination is to, or the motion is to send the letter, written by the superintendent. Suggestion was made that all board members sign it. So let's handle that one first, and then we'll move on to how we're going to solve the situation of not having a teacher. And
If we had her, if that company would coordinate and allow her to be here for, say, 2 hours a day during the major long block, would that help solve our problem?
I don't think it would work based on the location of the company. I don't think that would work.
Okay.
yes,
We have two motions on the floor now.
no, we have
We
one.
voted to accept it, right? We haven't accepted the resignation yet.
Well, you're right, we have two on the floor.
Just to keep it straight.
Thank you. We should vote on the motion to accept the resignation or not first. Thank you for that point of order. All those, any further discussion on the letter itself, the resignation, to accept that? All those in favor then please signify by raising your hand and accepting the letter of resignation. Okay, that is 10 to 1 abstain. Me. The second motion then, we're back to discussion on that. And that is, do we ask the superintendent to write the letter or not? Any further discussion on that?
I think there's a policy involved here, so don't you think it should go to the policy committee first and then the letter?
I don't,
How is it a policy?
I don't believe there
I
is
don't
any.
think there's any policy involved. I mean, this is clear cut, and I think we may be wasting a lot of our time on something here that we can't do anything about, in terms of a hiring and a person taking a leave without having to be a teacher going to another teaching district. And it's just as plain as that. Nothing you can do.
And this is assuming that she's going to teach, that the next career step is a teaching position.
It's not a teaching position that she's
No.
going to.
No.
Just leaving, so you have no recourse.
There's no policy involved, there is a contract involved that she is signed to agree to teach.
Can I withdraw the motion to have the letter and everybody sign it? Now that I know more, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Okay.
It's the only thing I'd say is we recoup any losses we can.
And that would be, as you stated earlier, any medical payments that we've
Any
made
of that stuff, yeah.
or anything of that
Yeah.
nature.
And the other thing I would say, that if we're gonna hire someone else, obviously we will, or going to, then we ought to get a locked-in 2-year contract or something. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. But we gotta do something different, obviously.
That sounds like a negotiable item that should be addressed properly.
Yep. Yep. Because I'm thinking of the kids. I mean, you got no teacher now, basically.
For a couple months.
And there's supposed to be a lot of numbers in that class, so there you go.
We need a motion for Jim to write the letter.
We have that on the
Okay, so
floor.
we have three motions.
Yeah. Any further discussion?
Is it a local company?
Fairly so, yeah. I would call it that, yeah. Seeing no other discussion then, the motion is that we have Jim write a letter to the company and would express in our displeasure with not negotiating for the teacher to stay on to finish her contracted year. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in favor. Barb needs a count. I can tell she's looking, so please keep your hand up again. Those opposed? One opposed. Two
Yeah,
opposed. 8, 9. There's one abstains. 2 abstain. 10, 11, that's right. The motion carries. Okay. Now we can talk about how we're going to get a replacement.
As I said, we already have it posted on School Spring. We've done an internal posting. We have contacted area universities. We have done postings through those universities that have engineering schools, hoping to grab somebody that way. We also are in discussions, as I said, with some staff members about possible internal coverage, dividing up who teaches what class and maybe bringing in a sub to cover part-time. So we do not have, this was a week ago today that I was handed this letter, and so that's how far we are as of today. And we're moving as quickly as we can for what are we gonna, so what the reality is, on April 1st, there'll probably be somebody from our sub list in there. And with the replacement as fast as we can. And the whole thing with the replacement is, we then have to, even if we hired somebody today, we're not gonna have a background clearance on them. So, we would, unless they happen to already have one and we can get a second dissemination of that. But without that, we would still we'd have to have the cost of putting a sub in there with them, so they're not alone with children until we get their background. So there's a lot of things at play here, but we're right now doing the best we can to get that covered. So if anybody knows anybody, talk it up. Love to hear it. Anybody got any
We
names?
certainly put that out to the public as well, too.
So it's the engineering class. So you have a question?
Since the instructor will still be here for another 2 weeks, is there any advantage to hiring a sub right now and putting that person in the class with her for the last 2 weeks?
We have
to
considered,
get a
we are considering doing that, and we have done that many times in the past. We just already did it recently this year with a teacher who was going out for surgery, and we brought in a sub the week beforehand to overlap so they at least understood what was going on in there. So if we don't have something more definitive like a sub who can actually come and do it, then that will happen probably next week.
I would assume that there's a certain amount of curriculum that needs to be covered in those 2 months.
Yep.
So
There's
that would be handy to
And there
work
certainly
out.
are,
That's a good
it's a
suggestion.
program that's heavy with seniors too, a lot of seniors in that program.
When are the
Field
report
trips.
cards due?
Mid-April, maybe?
So they're leaving now, which means there's 2 weeks left after they leave before report cards.
We will do it, and, as part of our exit interview with the teacher, there will be a transfer. I mean, that's standard procedure with it. We will do all that transfer of information, codes, and I have every reason to believe that the teacher will cooperate. Please don't understand that I'm not criticizing the teacher here. She's doing what she feels is best for her. Do I wish that the company would respect how the education calendar goes and hire them for July 1 or when I do, but that's not what's going to happen. So we need to deal with it. So I have every confidence the teacher will be more than helpful in that transfer of information knowledge, and she has expressed so to me. So
Would it be possible to
Thank
get
you.
an engineering student from one of the colleges that teaches engineering, maybe a senior who could do like an internship?
right, that's what we have contacted area colleges, a couple of them that do have the engineering program just for that. And like I said, we haven't heard back from anybody yet, but this was, Monday afternoon, we got the letter and then started that process working. So I really wouldn't expect to hear back yet. No bites yet, so.
But it certainly would be a nice little point on their resume that
Yes,
they
it
could,
would.
as a graduating
Yep.
engineer, to put out there.
So if anybody knows anybody who is graduating, I mean that, we can use help from all sources here in getting the word out that, and you do not need to be to finish out this year, we can get a waiver, you do not need to have a 4-year engineering degree, a degree with a background as an engineering tech, or an associate's degree with a background in engineering technology or field-related would be wonderful to get us through the end of this school year while we pursue finding somebody full-time.
In an area where the competitive salaries are probably higher than they are as teachers, I think this is an issue that can reoccur. You know, and you have to respect the individual trying to do the best for their family and so forth too. And that makes it a difficult situation.
And that's what happened last year. We were down, we had 2 candidates that we basically made the offer to, and when I got down to salary negotiations, I had one engineering student graduate who said, what you're offering me as a starting salary won't even cover my student loans and living expenses. He goes, you gotta understand what my student loans are from engineering school. And we came close. We came close, but not enough to persuade them. And it did come down to money on both times.
I think that's part of the problem of being in this universal teacher's contract that we're locked into, that is associated with the high school and the elementary teachers, where we have special needs that require higher skills, higher levels of training, and sometimes higher pay in order to recruit these people into these positions. And it's another item that maybe should be looked at as far as the technical center having some little more leeway in salary adjustments in that area.
So can we go to field trip?
We can. Leanne, I know, needs to get going. Sorry. Field trips. DECA International Competition in Atlanta, Georgia.
So moved.
Seconder?
It's moved by Ricky and seconded by Kevin, I heard.
Leon.
And Leon, okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. That's unanimous. Field trip skills state competition in Burlington.
So moved.
Seconder?
Same two. Any discussion on that one? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. And that's unanimous too.
Sure.
Superintendent's report.
Good evening. And again, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Especially I got a dinner date. I gotta
Not
get
that,
out.
we don't need to.
We gotta get out.
I'm English, you do
Yeah.
know that.
Well, St. Patrick was from England, you know, that from Britain,
But
but
thought we all were at one time.
captured by the Irish and brought there. He was a Roman citizen living in Britain, but I know we don't have time for the full history lesson. But, first, I want to thank the communities in our district for their support and vote during our the recent vote for our budget. Thank you for your continued support of the Career Development Center. But I want to say to the board, as you know, our budget for FY 2015, even though passed, we still have work to complete and identify where we will make line item cuts to bring our budget into compliance, where the bottom line is set, but we have some line items that are, would result in us overspending the bottom line. So we still need to make internal cuts, even though the dollar amount's bad. So that's just a reminder that we have work to do in the next month. We did have a professional day last Friday, and we took the staff off-site. We felt that it would, we went to the Hampton, in the meeting room at the Hampton Inn. We felt that there's less interference when we go off-site. There's, no one's calling you and you're not running to your room. So I thought it was a better environment. The morning was some internal housekeeping by administration, duties, updates, things like that. And the second part of the morning was those 4 committees that the staff has formed for alumni relations, for open house, for 8th grade tour day, and for new and emerging ideas. They all had a half-hour meeting and then did a report out to all staff member about
what they've accomplished and what they're planning for the year. So I think we continue on that road of getting everybody involved in the marketing in the school. That worked well. The afternoon session for 2.5 hours was a continuation of what we did back in August during our before-school training. And the workshop was on student bullying, student-to-student bullying, and bullying in the workplace, staff on staff bullying. We had an outside presenter come in. I think it was very well received. It has brought a lot of questions on further training that maybe the administration needs, the board, the staff needs, and a review of some of our procedures for making sure that we're updated with what the current law is. And so we're going to continue a relationship with the presenter, and it's a critical subject, and we're not going to let that go. Now that timed out for me. And I do want to mention one thing. You drove around the back today, you might see outside of the building trades program half a house, and wrapped in plastic. It is half of a prefab 2-bedroom ranch home constructed by our staff and students of the building trade program. And on Thursday, it was rolled out on steel pipe out of the bay that it was built in. It now sits outside, so they have room to build the second half of the house. So I want to congratulate our teacher, Brian Coons, and his students for their success on the milestone of this, the building project. So they've reached a critical point. The building is for sale through the Building Trades Corporation. I'll get more details to you as that, as they meet and decide how they're going to do that. And we have some other options that we're looking at of who might be interested in buying that house. It is going to be sold as is, so they would be responsible for moving it and procuring the land to put it on. So it's the first time we've done that at the Creative Development Center, that we've built a prefab on-site as opposed to an off-site building project. There's pluses and minuses. The plus clearly is it's built inside in controlled weather, and we're not spending precious classroom time transporting to a work site. The problem is we won't do every aspect of the house. It's insulated and sheetrocked on the inside, but there's no interior trim or flooring done, and we won't do it. It'll be sold as is. So that skill set will have to be gained by our students from other projects. But it's gone well. So good, and it is outside. So that concludes my report in this brief meeting.
Okay. I don't have any other chairman's report. I wasn't sure I was going to be chair, so I didn't prepare one. But we do have an executive session scheduled for personnel. I'm sorry to say we have to hold you up a little longer, so we will return to executive session in the next room. Can I have a motion for that?
To adjourn for no action.
Adjourn for no action.
So we're coming back in here?
Yes.
Yeah.